When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. Elon Musk. Life is too short for long-term grudges. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. Patience is a virtue, and I'm learning patience. It's a tough lesson. If something's important enough, you should try. Even if the probable outcome is failure. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. If you go back a few hundred years, what we take for granted today would seem like magic, being able to talk to people over long distances, to transmit images, flying, accessing vast amounts of data like an oracle. These are all things that would have been considered magic a few hundred years ago. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Doesn't work out. I think there are more politicians in favor of electric cars than against. There are still some that are against, and I think the reasoning for that varies depending on the person, but in some cases, they just don't believe in climate change, they think oil will last forever. I do think there is a lot of potential if you have a compelling product and people are willing to pay a premium for that. I think that is what Apple has shown. You can buy a much cheaper cell phone or laptop, but Apple's product is so much better than the alternative, and people are willing to pay that premium. The reality is gas prices should be much more expensive than they are because we're not incorporating the true damage to the environment and the hidden costs of mining oil and transporting it to the US. Whenever you have an unpriced externality, you have a bit of a market failure, to the degree that eternality remains unpriced. If anyone thinks they'd rather be in a different part of history, they're probably not a very good student of history. Life sucked in the old days. People knew very little, and you were likely to die. Silicon Valley has evolved a critical mass of engineers and venture capitalists and all the support structure, the law firms, the real estate, all that are all actually geared toward being accepting of startups. The X is an amazing car, but we kind of got carried away with the art and technology. Obviously, you want great art. You want great technology, but we did get a little distracted from our mission, which was to advance the cause of electric vehicles. And it probably delayed us a little bit with the Model 3 as well. I would like to fly in space. Absolutely. That would be cool. I used to just do personally risky things, but now I've got kids and responsibilities, so I can't be my own test pilot. That wouldn't be a good idea. But I definitely want to fly as soon as it's a sensible thing to do. If you look at space companies, they've failed either because they've had a technical solution where success was not a possible outcome, they were unable to attract a critical mass of talent, or they just ran out of money. The finish line is usually a lot further away than you think. The lessons of history would suggest that civilizations move in cycles. You can track that back quite far. The Babylonians, the Sumerians, followed by the Egyptians, the Romans, China. We're obviously in a very upward cycle right now, and hopefully that remains the case. But it may not. Yeah, well, I think anyone who likes fast cars will love the Tesla. And it has fantastic handling, by the way. I mean, this car will crush a Porsche on the track, just crush it. So if you like fast cars, you'll love this car. And then oh, by the way, it happens to be electric and it's twice the efficiency of a Prius. It would take 6 months to get to Mars if you go there slowly, with optimal energy cost. Then it would take 18 months for the planets to realign. Then it would take 6 months to get back, though I can see getting the travel time down to 3 months pretty quickly if America has the will. In the case of Apple, they did originally do production internally, but then along came unbelievably good outsourced manufacturing from companies like Foxconn. We don't have that in the rocket business. There's no Foxconn in the rocket business.